What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another video here on my Big Bro channel. My name is Tim Black, and I will be filling the role of your brother for the next few minutes as we sip on this Dr. Pepper and discuss the topic of vulnerability, and more importantly, vulnerability in relationships and why it's so important. Now, before I get started today, I want to ask you a question, and it's hypothetical. You can answer the screen if you want to, but I'm not going to hear you. But how can you expect somebody to love you for who you are when you're not willing to show them the real you? Now think about this. Throughout the whole video, you don't have to answer now. You can have some time to think about it. But I want this to stay top of mind the entire video. I want you to answer this question when you feel comfortable answering it. If you feel comfortable now, then go for it. But vulnerability, what is it? Why are we talking about it? Why is it so important? This is important to me because it's something that I've discovered lately. Something that happened to me recently where I realized, wow, the key to a healthy relationship, a successful relationship, is vulnerability. It is at the center. It is the core of a healthy, successful relationship. And I'll tell you why. Now, before we jump into it, my boy Merriam-Webster says, vulnerability is defined as the quality or state of being exposed to the possibility of being attacked or harmed, either physically or emotionally. Now, I get it. When I read that and when you hear that, you probably think, oh my God, that's scary. And that's probably why we automatically associate being vulnerable with a weakness as some kind of negative thing. A lot of us were taught growing up, whether it be from our parents, childhood trauma, or just gender societal structures that we were taught about how to bottle up our emotions and not be willing to be vulnerable. Without vulnerability, though, we're not able to build relationships. Vulnerability is much more than saying, oh my God, I'm going to get hurt. I'm opening myself up. It's not guaranteeing that you're going to be hurt. It's not a 100% chance that you're going to get hurt or you're going to be wounded because you open up to somebody. Vulnerability is actually one of the biggest strengths you can have, whether it be in a relationship like we're talking about today, or even in a friendship, any relationship for that matter, with your friend, family, significant other. It is one of the strongest things you can have because vulnerability is not saying, I'm scared, I'm going to get hurt every time I open up. What it is saying, hi, my name is Tim Black, I'm vulnerable, I'm here. These are my secrets, these are my fears, my affections. Be careful with them. I will tell you that. Be careful with them because I'm giving them to you because I trust you. So don't hurt me, but I'm inviting you to come into my life. I'm inviting you to know the real me. And like I said in that question, how is somebody supposed to love the real you if you're not willing to show them who that is? And like I said, we're taught not to be controversial. We're taught not to be unique or say anything crazy or stupid because we need to conform to what society teaches us. We don't want to stand out. It could be, in relationships especially, we carry that stuff into our relationships where we conform to our partner. We conform to what we're taught is a good relationship. But the reality is, and it just clicked in my head this month, is that being vulnerable is the only way you're going to build intimacy with your significant other because it's the only way they can learn the true you. Now, an example that I will tell you about is me. In my current relationship, things are fantastic, things are great, but when I compare it to old relationships where I saw myself conforming, I saw myself hiding my feelings, hiding the way I felt, and I couldn't open up to them about certain things. And for most of you that have been watching this channel, you know that I have an anxiety disorder. And sometimes that anxiety disorder gets the best of me, and it can be debilitating where I just find myself on the floor not being able to catch my breath. And in past relationships, there have been times where I was too embarrassed to bring this up and tell them how I felt about it, or even tell them that I had it. I would sit there and go to a different room I had to and go sit in the bathroom for 30 minutes until I was able to get a hold of myself. But now with my girlfriend, I feel like I can tell her anything. Just the other day, last week, I was sitting in the middle of the floor face down, struggling to catch my breath, and she came in there to rub my back and was like, hey, everything's fine. And that's when it clicked. That's when this video idea came into my head. Is wow, I just realized for the first time ever that me being able to open up about how I feel, me being able to share my deepest secrets about my anxiety disorder and how I feel. And sometimes I feel lost and crazy because I don't know how anyone is ever going to accept me for these things, but she does. And that's what being vulnerable is yes, the definition is opening up and being able to be judged. And it doesn't guarantee that you will be judged. She could have easily said, oh, that's weird, I don't want to date you now. And that's totally up to her. But if I hadn't given her the chance, if I hadn't been vulnerable with her, she would have had the chance to get to know the real me and make that decision for herself. So that is why I tell you, it sounds crazy, but vulnerability is the key to a successful relationship because it is not a sign of weakness. It is a strength. It isn't just a losing and winning. It is a sign of bravery. And it's something that's, I guess we can call it a double-edged sword, where if you protect yourself from getting hurt, you save yourself that trouble of getting hurt, but you're not going to be able to have those close relationships because you're hiding it. And I'm telling you, everybody's vulnerable. It's not just It's not just you. You're not soft. You're not some emotional vomiter if you're vulnerable. No matter how much you try to avoid it, we're all born to be vulnerable and to stay that way our entire lives, because relationships are built off of this vulnerability. Oh, this stuff is incredible. I don't care what anyone says it's the greatest drink in the world. Back to the topic. I know the dictionary says that vulnerability is like opening up to the possibility of being attacked or harmed. And yes, that sounds scary, but when you think of it the way I want to think about it, and before you say, oh, Tim, you can't just go changing words in the dictionary, watch me, I'm about to do it right now. The way I like to look at vulnerability or think about it is that it is consciously choosing not to hide the way you feel, hiding your emotions or your desires or your thoughts. You're able to express these things freely regardless of what others might think. And I can make totally different videos, if I have made them already, about not caring what other people think. But for the sake of vulnerability, it's one of those things that you need to learn. Otherwise, you're going to struggle with this in the future or just now, because you have to not care what other people think in order to open yourself up freely to them. And vulnerability can be as simple as just complimenting somebody like a stranger, or asking your significant other to do something that you know they may not be open to do. They might reject you, but the only way you can find out if they're the right person for you is being vulnerable with them. You can't sit there and put on this mask and be somebody, because you're going to date this person and they're going to be dating somebody that's not you. You are somebody you're this mold that you've created to fit what they're looking for, and you're not actually yourself. So it can be tough to put yourself in a position like that. That's going to be risky. I completely understand that. I'm not saying vulnerability is the easiest thing in the world, but you also have to remember that there's going to be the occasion where you get hurt. Relationships and pain are one into the other. They come together, and we're all humans. It's something we can't avoid. It's part of relationships. It's something that we deal with no matter what. But we can see in this way that a mismatch of people or learning or whatever, you can take it as a warning. Like I said, you don't have to stick with this person, but by shutting down the risks of being hurt or shutting down the risks of finding out that they're not the right person, you lose that possibility of your joy, intimacy, and being close with that person because you're not willing to open up to them. Now, this wouldn't be a big bro video if I didn't give you guys a few pointers and tips on the topic of the video. So now for the rest of the time, I want to teach you guys how to be more vulnerable, how to be vulnerable with people in your life. And the first thing is admitting your flaws, telling people that you're not perfect. And we all know there's that one person that we've dealt with, whether it be somebody at work, family member. They are the person that says that they are perfect. They've never done anything wrong. They've got no humility. And I'm telling you, it is a big turnoff, especially in relationships, because honesty is hot. Honesty is what's in. It's sexy, dude. And, false bravado is a turnoff. So if you have flaws, admit them. Like if you've done something bad in your past, or you've done something bad in the relationship, admit that. To be able to tell people that you're not perfect, because nobody's perfect. And when you sit there and try to pretend like you're something that you're not, it's going to be a turnoff. So be aware, have some self-awareness about the stuff that you've done, and be able to talk about that stuff with somebody. Now, the next thing is going to be being honest. And this one you would think is going to be obvious, but for the sake of vulnerability, I think it's one that we should cover again. Honesty is always going to be something attractive in a relationship. And like in the video, in this whole video, the whole thing is about, vulnerability being the key to a successful relationship. But if there was a number two, it'd be honesty. Not being honest with somebody is on a direct path to them not trusting you. They're going to resent you. And it just shows that you're not brave enough in the relationship to be honest and tell them the things that they need to hear. Relationships are built on a strong foundation of this honesty and trust, and you're not going to have a strong relationship if you don't have that honesty. So be honest with them, and it opens yourself up to being more vulnerable at the same time. Now, the third thing is going to be taking responsibility for your actions. It kind of ties in with everything else that we're talking about. You're not perfect, but you're dealing with these issues, and you're taking responsibility for the issues that you're dealing with. That way you can show that you're taking control of the things that you're doing. You're not just letting them get the best of you. You're not blaming other people. You're not blaming your significant other on these things. You are able to say, hey, like this is something that I'm going through. Just knowing yourself on a different level, because that's something that's attractive to, I would say, most people. It's definitely something that's attractive to me is, somebody not playing the victim 24/7. But that's a good one. And then last but not least, just be able to show your partner that you love them. Being able to show that you're grateful for the stuff they do, especially if you open up to them and they don't judge you. They're not there to hurt you. They're there to support you. They show you that they're not going anywhere, regardless of what happens. You were brave with them. It's very hard to be brave. It's hard to be vulnerable. But when you are there and you're able to say these words to them and hold your breath while you wait for the response, whatever the response is, show that you love them. And especially if that response is great, you gotta show them that you really are appreciative of it, and that you are going to be vulnerable with them, and then maybe in the return they'll be more vulnerable with you. But those are a couple things that you can do in a relationship, at least. And you can kind of take those things with friendships and other stuff too, but more specifically for relationships in this case. These are things that you can implement in your relationship to be more vulnerable, and I assure you the quality of your relationship is going to skyrocket, because vulnerability, again, is the key to a successful, healthy relationship. So have the difficult conversations, show your flaws, share your faults, take full responsibility of the person that you are, and show your partner that you love them, and you're going to have a fantastic relationship. And you know what? Like I said, you can take these stuff and use them elsewhere if you want to use them in friendships, relationships with your family. But being vulnerable is really the key to most relationships. And I can't stress it enough how important this is. So when it clicked in my head this past week, I was like, wow, this girl's incredible, for one. But two, I feel like I just wasted so much time in the past being somebody that I wasn't, instead of being vulnerable. So I don't want you guys to make the same mistake that I did. That's really all I got for you in today's video. If it's something that you enjoyed, leave a like or a comment. Tell me how you feel. If you want to be vulnerable with me, leave a comment. Tell me what you're going through. But that's all I got for you guys today. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you in, I guess, the next video we got. Grab yourself a Dr. Pepper cherry though, because these things are fantastic. See you guys.